It's Friday, July 26. In the headlines, Nurses Association demands meeting with the Finance Ministry over outstanding compensation review. In business news, Supreme Ventures Limited reports a 22% decline in net profit. Regionally, Barbados continues to push for debt sustainability for SIDS. And in sports, 63 athletes from Jamaica are in Paris for the Olympic Games. This is the weekend news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. The Nurses Association of Jamaica, NAJ, wants a meeting with the Ministry of Finance to complete talks on outstanding compensation review items. NAJ President Dawn Marie Richards made the call following the association's third quarterly general meeting on Thursday. She says on Tuesday, the association received a letter from the ministry regarding the compensation review. But she says it did not address the matters about which the NAJ is awaiting an update. She says she was invited to a meeting with the Finance Ministry's team for May 2, but that meeting did not take place. Parents will soon be required to support their children beyond the age of majority if they are enrolled in an educational or training program. This change comes under the amended Maintenance Act. Danita Rodney has the details.
Introducing the bill titled An Act to Amend the Maintenance Act and to Provide for Connected Matters during a parliamentary session on Tuesday, Justice Minister Delroy Chuck stated that the government aims for parents to continue providing support for their children up to age 23.
The amendment to the Maintenance Act seeks to allow for a maintenance order to be granted by the court after a child attains the age of 18 years for the purpose of engaging in a course of education or training, whether or not an order of maintenance had been issued prior. Such order, however, would not extend for any period beyond the child attaining the age of 23 years. So there could be an extension of maintenance order for training and education up to 23, which I have no doubt was the intention of the principal bill.
He said the amendment will allow children to apply for a maintenance order themselves.
The amendment also seeks to allow for the application for a maintenance order to be made by the child himself who has attained the age of 18 years, the child's parents, or any other person who has the care and custody of the child.
Minister Chuck also shared to the House that an amendment to the Maintenance Act is also an amendment to the Children, Guardian and Custody Act.
Finally, Madam Speaker, it should also be noted that the amendment to the Maintenance Act results in a consequential amendment to the Children, Guardian and Custody Act in order to achieve consistency throughout the legislations. Currently, the period in which a court may grant or extend a maintenance order pursuant to the Children, Guardianship and Custody Act is a period not beyond the date on which a child attains the age of 21 years. So we are extending it to 23. As such, the government seeks to consequentially amend this period, which is the period not beyond the date on which a child attains the age of 23 years.
For the news on PBCJ, I am Danita Rodney.
The Security Ministry has plans to build a multi-billion-dollar modern fit-to-purpose 3-story building to house the St. Catherine North Divisional Headquarters of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the JCF. The contract was signed between the government and West Indies Home Contractors Limited. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the undertaking forms a significant part of the continued transformation of the JCF, as well as enhancing community safety. The construction is being executed under the National Security Ministry's project Rebuild, Overhaul and Construct, ROC initiative.
Today marks a significant step in the ongoing journey towards a safer, more secure Jamaica. And as we gather to sign this contract, we also bear in mind that there are several other projects of this nature, of this magnitude, which we have already signed contracts for. We are out of ground, and there are several other projects to come.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the move is part of the continued transformation of the JCF, as well as enhancing community safety.
But we expect to spend $19.7 billion in the next 3 years on new stations. Of course, that figure is huge because that 19.7 would include the massive station in Westmoreland, this one, and specialized ops, the C5 Center, which I'll speak about a little bit, all kinds of new exciting things that will, if you think that the police force has transformed now, wait until you see it in the next 3 years.
He says $5.52 billion has already been spent to build new police stations across the island.
In the last, from 2016 to now, we have spent $2.7 billion, and we expect to spend another $2.7 billion on renovations.
He says additional renovations are coming for some stations.
We have established to monitor this broad approach to national security, a National Security Council, with an office of the National Security Council, which we will shortly present a National Security Act. And that looks at security from a comprehensive point of view. So we look at security from customs. We look at security from the anti-corruption perspective. We look at security from cyber. We look at security from telecommunications. We look at security from finance. All elements that could threaten the safety and security of the state.
Meanwhile, Mr. Holness says the National Security Council and Plan Secure Jamaica continue to play an integral role in addressing violence in the country. Time now for the business report. In the business report, investors can be on the lookout for passive income from dividends based on stock market announcements. First, the Jamaica Stock Exchange Limited has declared an interim dividend of 78 cents per share payable on August 30, 2024 to shareholders on record as at August 15, 2024. The ex-dividend date is August 15, 2024. Next, Supreme Ventures Limited has declared a dividend of 14 cents per stock unit payable on September 11, 2024 to shareholders on record as at August 12, 2024. The ex-dividend date is August 12, 2024. And Mayberry Group Limited has advised that at a meeting of its board of directors to be held on July 30, 2024, an interim dividend payment will be considered. The Supreme Ventures Limited reports a 22% decline in 6-month net profit attributable to shareholders. Supreme Ventures Limited for the 6 months ended June 30, 2024 reported a 1% increase in total gaming income from $25.63 billion in 2023 to $25.85 billion in 2024. Revenues from the company's segments for the 6 months were as follows. Revenue from non-fixed odd wagering games, horse racing, and PIN codes increased 3% to $15.58 billion compared to the 2023 figure of $15.12 billion. Income from fixed odd wagering games, net of prices, decreased 2% to $10.27 billion compared to the 2023 figure of $10.52 billion. After expenses and taxes, net profit attributable to shareholders for the 6 months decreased 22% to $1.33 billion compared to the 2023 figure of $1.70 billion. For the quarter, net profit attributable to shareholders decreased 52% to $480.01 million, when compared to the 2023 amount of $995.31 million. The emotional toll of natural disasters can be as equally devastating as the financial toll, and we brought on life coach Vinton Thomas to share his thoughts on the matter.
We're joined with Vinton Thomas, realtor and life coach, and there is clearly a financial impact on natural disasters, but there's also an emotional impact which impacts the way forward in rebuilding. So Vinton, depending on the type and extent of the loss, a lot of individuals, impacted by natural disasters have a strong sense of grief, loss, panic, fear, sadness. Yes. Sometimes there's difficulty in sleeping, anger, irritability. These impact your job, your finances going forward after a disaster, natural disaster. So what support should persons reach out for?
Well, first of all, it's very profound what they're doing, because in terms of, it can be trauma, right? So you find persons you find a therapist, you find a life coach, you seek help from persons who are in a similar situation that you're in. Whatever you're doing this, don't isolate yourself. Right. You need support.
So isolation
is one of the things that is detrimental to you.
But what about carrying these heavy emotions to the workplace and you need to rebuild financially?
You see, it all depends on the mindset that you have. And one of the first things is it might be difficult to ascertain, but have a positive mindset towards this, that this too shall pass. Right? And you know that you can work towards becoming more resilient. Bounce back from the ideas that you have done and what have you, come back better and stronger.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Thomas.
Time now for news on the stock exchange and forex market.
During trading for the period of July 25, 2024, the following companies represent the top 3 most active stocks that investors bought and sold on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. The following companies represent the overall volume leaders. Alternative energy provider Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares with 6,793,144 units represented 52.75% of the market in terms of equity sales. Toll road operator Trans Jamaican Highway Limited with 3,157,476 units represented 24.52% of the market in terms of equity sales. Consumer staple Lasco Manufacturing Limited with 516,282 units represented 4.01% of the market in terms of equity sales. Over on the Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, trading on July 25, 2024, registered a volume of 737,566 shares, crossing the floor of the exchange, valued at $3,050,229 Trinidad and Tobago dollars and 83 cents. Massey Holdings Limited was the volume leader with 673,271 shares, changing hands for a value of $2,411,013 Trinidad and Tobago dollars and 84 cents, followed by National Enterprises Limited with a volume of 47,005 shares, being traded for 148,216 Trinidad and Tobago dollars and 17 cents. Moving from the money moves of investors, executives, and companies on the regional stock markets, we turn to the Forex market. On July 25, 2024, the Bank of Jamaica reported that US $48.4 million was bought from Forex traders, while US $63.6 million was sold to Forex traders. Buying directly from the Bank of Jamaica, foreign currency traders sold the US dollar for $157.40 and bought the US dollar for $155.44. The difference between the buy and sell rate was $1.96, which represents a profit for forex traders for every US dollar traded. Canadian forex traders earned a trading profit of $4.04 from transactions with the Bank of Jamaica. The Canadian dollar was sold at $116.85 and bought for $112.81. For traders looking at the British pound, they pocketed a profit of $8.34, selling it for $203.60 and buying it for $195.26. For the credit report tip of the day, we once again turn the spotlight on your career as a way to boost your credit worthiness and gain greater opportunities to grow into financial freedom. So we have 2 more steps for you. The first is to monitor your credit. Regularly check your credit history for accuracy. Dispute any errors to ensure your credit profile reflects your true financial behavior. And then seek professional advice. It is important to consult with financial advisors or credit counselors who can provide personalized strategies to improve your credit worthiness based on your career growth path. And with that, we wrap up today's business report. I'm Denise Williams. Appreciate your company. Stay well informed, stay ahead of the curve. Until our next update, take care.
In regional news, Barbados continues to advocate for debt sustainability for small islands developing states, SIDS, at international fora. Deputy Permanent Representative to the United Nations, Karita White, highlighted the plight of SIDS during a roundtable on debt and debt sustainability at the first session of the Preparatory Committee for the 4th International Conference on Financing for Development in Ethiopia. She proposed 4 initiatives, including a debt service suspension. Ms. White also called for better representation of developing countries and SIDS in international financial institutions during another roundtable on systematic issues.
This DSSI can support debt restructuring efforts. It helps to contextualize the specific SIDS situation and offers targeted responses. 2, reform of the IMF and World Bank's debt sustainability assessment. 3, scaling up pause clauses or natural disaster clauses and incorporating climate change considerations in debt agreements by all debtors, public and private creditors, and regular principal amortizations in all lending instruments to make public debt stocks resilient to climate shocks and reduce refinancing risk. And then 4, financing criteria must go beyond GDP to include climate vulnerability, natural capital, and biodiversity, as stated in the recently adopted Antigua and Barbuda Action Agenda for SIDS and echoed in the Bridgetown Initiative, ensuring SIDS representation and participation, as well as other developing countries in decision-making in global, economic, and IFIs to deliver more effective, credible, accountable, legitimate institutions. There is a need for an overhaul of credit rating methodologies to eliminate biases.
St. Lucia's Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre delivered an impassioned speech at the Africa Investment Risk and Compliance Summit, advocating for climate justice and deeper cooperation between Africa and the Caribbean.
In an ongoing quest to build better bonds with African nations, Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre delivered a keynote address at the 2024 Africa Investment Risk Compliance Summit, hosted by the Emerging Business Intelligence and Innovations Group. The event themed Sustainable Resource Extraction in a Changing Climate, Compliance Strategies and Innovations, gathered industry experts, policymakers, leaders, investors, and other stakeholders.
Africa and the Caribbean must plan quickly to make the best use of this bright, youthful Africa driven by know-how, especially in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. There must be the young people who will build the hydro dams, the solar PV plants, the highways and the railways, the electric grids, and the cities that Africa needs. It will be these educated young people who will innovate, heal, gain higher crop yields, fly our planes, captain our ships, lead honest, accountable governments, and create the wealth and prosperity that Africa needs. The Caribbean, I believe, can play its part in the development of Africa's education, skills, and development needs.
In his address, Prime Minister Pierre highlighted the deep historical and cultural ties between Africa and the Caribbean, emphasizing the shared challenges and opportunities faced by both regions. He articulated a vision of unity, resilience, and mutual support, advocating for stronger collaborations to combat climate change and promote sustainable development.
Countries in the Caribbean and in Africa are essentially being told to adapt and become more resilient to climate change. However, telling countries that are already struggling to overcome years of systemic poverty and exploitation that they must be resilient is like telling the fish it needs to start learning to walk on land. Without sufficient financial resources, adaptation is but a pipe dream.
Prime Minister Pierre emphasized the need to leverage Africa's vast resources, its mineral wealth, arable land, and youthful population to achieve sustainable development goals.
In the Caribbean, we are in full alignment with the 1.5 degrees centigrade to be used as the basis for all discussions to and during COP29. However, our people are becoming increasingly restless and impatient as we fail to see the promises of climate financing for adaptation and mitigation.
Vice President Dr. Brat Jagdeo on Thursday called for increased U.S. assistance in combating the smuggling of firearms into Guyana. While he commended the Guyana Police Force and other local security agencies for their efforts and successes in addressing both domestic and transactional crimes, he highlighted a critical need for more robust international cooperation.
The fact that you see a lot of seizure of weapons here is because of that. Some collaboration with our partners, but also we still need to get more support from our external partners. The President himself has expressed concern to some of the international partners, particularly the US, that we need greater assistance in stopping the flow of weapons coming into our region from this country and other countries. Because a lot of the weapons come in from the United States of America. They come in through barrels and all sorts of things. And so this is not a new position. It's been expressed overwhelmingly by CARICOM, even when they met with the highest levels in the US government. These positions have been expressed recently, and as far back as when I was president, I remember a meeting in Trinidad and Tobago at which President Obama was present and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. I spoke on this matter and I raised this concern that the relationship has to be symmetrical, that we do a lot of work assisting and collaborating with the US to tackle the transnational threat of drugs going into their territories, but we don't see the same level of effort on the part of the United States assisting us with gun smuggle into our territory.
In sports, President of the Jamaica Olympic Association, Christopher Samuda, says this year's games will be one of the greatest ever. The games are set to be held in the city of Paris, and the opening ceremony that's happening today is touted as one of the biggest open-air shows on earth. Mr. Samuda is quoted in the press saying, "As you know, the opening ceremony is going to be different from former years. This is going to be outdoors on the river. It's going to be a remarkable scene, one that I think commends the Olympic values." End quote. Triple jumper Shanika Ricketts and swimmer Josh Curlew are the Jamaican flag bearers. The JOA head says he is very confident the Jamaican athletes will do well at the Olympic Games because they have shown in their build-up to the Games that they are determined to succeed at the highest level. According to the BBC, just about 10,000 athletes will be parading through the heart of Paris. Many of the details have been kept secret, so expect plenty of surprises. For the first time, the ceremony will take place not in a stadium, but in the heart of a city. The world's Olympic teams are set to parade along the River Seine in boats, watched by about 300,000 spectators. The boats will pass some of the city's best-known bridges and landmarks on their journey during the evening, including Notre Dame Cathedral and, naturally, the Eiffel Tower. It will conclude as the sun sets over the city's west, which organizers hope will further solidify the legend of the City of Lights. A 63-member squad from Jamaica is now in Paris for the Olympic Games, plus 13 reserves for the Games of the 33rd Olympiad in Paris, France, from July 26 to August 11. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price, Sharika Jackson, and Hansel Parchment are among the global champions who feature on Jamaica's team for the Games. World Under-20 champion Jaden Hibbert is entered for the triple jump, and Daniel Thomas Dodd, the 2019 world silver medalist, is confirmed for the shot put. New sprint sensation Kishane Thompson is one of a number of the squad attending their first Olympic Games. The Jamaica Administrative Athletics Association says 14 officials, led by manager Ludlow Watts, accompanying the team, inclusive of 7 coaches. The Kosovo Under-19 Boys and Girls Volleyball Championships is set to begin this Friday in Jamaica, and TTT Live caught up with members of the Trinidad and Tobago Under-19 female volleyball team ahead of the tournament.
Members of the Trinidad and Tobago Under-19 female volleyball team put in their final preparations ahead of the anticipated Kosovo Under-19 Boys and Girls Volleyball Championships set to take place in Jamaica at the Eastern Regional Sporting Complex. Vice Captain LaFay Roberts, who is representing the Under-19 team for the second time, shared what it means to her to represent her country and the preparation ahead of the event.
So it feels really good to be a part of the national team, and my feelings going into this tournament is excitement. I feel proud to represent my country at this level. So I started volleyball in the height of the pandemic, and it was hard to keep playing and have a consistent journey and consistent training sessions. So it wasn't easy at all, and even with me writing CSEC last year, it was a little tough balancing studies and volleyball at the same time, but I was able to do it, and at this stage, it's been good. The preparation has been in a way to make you think if you really want to do this. It has been time-consuming, and it's really something to help you learn and move forward, a good experience.
Roberts mentioned what sort of performance the public can expect against opponents Barbados and Jamaica.
You can expect a really good performance coming forward next week. We're not really sure how the team in Barbados will be playing, well, the team from that country, but we're expecting to go out there and play at our best. I think that the team could reach to the finals in the tournament, and I am hoping to gain great experience and meet new people in this tournament.
18-year-old team captain Jordan Hutchinson spoke about what it's been like leading the team into the championships.
The journey, it's been very good. We have fun activities being done, and my role as the captain, it's been challenging to deal with everyone's personality because everybody has this different personalities. And well, I just trying to bear with all of them because I'm the captain, so I have to make sure everybody's fine with each other, everybody gets along, and we work together as a team.
That's it for the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thank you so much for watching.